clients. Like they
Yeah.
helped me last year at the end of the year, just kind of take some losses and then buy the Bitcoin back, for tax reasons. And basically they it just seemed like a lot of, I mean, it was like pretty, like, where did every one of these sats come from? I mean, they needed to have all this information, and it wasn't that surprising to me, but it just seems like, if you want to be on the up and up, I just worry that in the future there will be such strict, guidelines around that, to be able to kind of track, making sure, like for example, could you get in trouble if someone paid you in Bitcoin and then later you went to go put that on exchange and they were like, found out that that Bitcoin is somehow dirty, right? Like they're like, oh, that's dirty Bitcoin because you got it from this person who got it from whatever, and we have this flagged, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah. And
Could
so they
that be
would,
like a thing?
right. Yeah. Right now they would identify that quote unquote dirty Bitcoin using tools like chain analysis and elliptic. And like I just said, like the whole goal is to make it so these heuristics are unreliable. And so you set up tools and wallet software that you just use, and it, like as you use it, whether it's doing something like a pay join, pay to endpoint, where you combine inputs and it's hard to know where the Bitcoin ends up, whose wallet it ends up in. At the end of the day, it makes it impossible to do that type of analysis. And so it's certainly coming. And then this gets to a broader subject, which is KYC AML regulations in the first place. Like they are completely ineffective. I think there's stats out there like KYC AML regulations have proven to only prevent 0.1% of global money laundering. They're completely ineffective, and they actually, like, this is something Matt and I say, or Matt more particularly says on Rabbit Hole Recap, is that KYC AML is the illicit activity because the compliance that is thrust on these companies, which forces them to collect very personal data from their customers, is probably actually done more economic harm than the prevention of money laundering or illicit money transfers that the compliance is actually trying to solve. So when you're collecting all this information, you're getting social security numbers, phone numbers, home addresses, email addresses, amount of Bitcoin owned, stuff like that. Like that just sits in these which have proven to be insecure databases that hackers go after. They want to get these honeypots of KYC AML data because that will allow them to, to then go SIM swap people, to steal somebody's identity, to get a credit card under their name. And the economic damage caused by this data collection that has been thrust on everybody due to AML KYC laws far exceeds the crime it has prevented from a monetary perspective. And so when it comes to pushing back against this, I think that's one thing, and that's one thing we try to do on our shows, is really highlight that these regulations are ineffective. All they act as essentially are regulatory moats for incumbent actors in any industry that they're thrust on, because the cost to comply with all the regulations that are coming out is so high that a startup really can't afford those costs. And so it prevents competition from flourishing. It puts individuals in harm's way with the data collection. And so, like, yeah, to answer your question, I think as a society, we need to have a broader conversation about the effectiveness of KYC AML, or more importantly, about the ineffectiveness and the harm it's doing, and really create a social movement against these practices, and just say, hey, FBI, CIA, ATF, whoever, like, you got to figure out a way to do your job better. You can't put all these people in harm's way just because you want to stop 0.1% of global money laundering.